Welcome to the Depth Dive. Today, we've been digging into some really interesting sources, articles, bits of biography, research, all looking at how, simple quotes or principles really guided some iconic billionaires.
Yeah, and our mission here is to unpack how these phrases weren't just like posters on a wall. They became fundamental internal operating systems.
Guiding decisions, yeah.
Exactly. Helping them seize opportunities and maybe most importantly, navigate through some massive, massive challenges.
And what's really striking in the sources is this idea that often these core beliefs weren't just picked up somewhere. They seem to have been forged right in the fire of hardship.
Hammered out because of the struggle, becoming that true north during the storm, not just before it.
There's even a hint in the sources about the psychology of it, how internalizing these ideas might actually, influence the brain.
Right. Think of it less like choosing a motto and more like installing core software. The sources suggest that sticking to these principles consistently acts a bit like powerful affirmation.
Kind of rewiring things.
Potentially, yeah. Rewiring neural pathways, maybe boosting resilience, focus, helping to quiet that mental noise when things get really tough. It might even change stress responses.
So it's more than just positive thinking. There's a cognitive angle suggested.
Definitely. And the examples from your sources really bring this to life. Take Elon Musk. We all know the quote now.
When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor.
Right. But the sources really highlight this wasn't just some abstract idea he liked. That conviction, that drive against the odds, it was intensely forged back in, 2008?
Yeah, when things looked incredibly bleak for both SpaceX and Tesla.
Yeah.
Near bankruptcy for both.
Exactly. He lived that principle intensely before maybe articulating it so clearly later. It became his code because he had to survive that period.
Makes sense. And Jack Ma, his famous line.
Never give up. Today is hard, tomorrow will be worse, but the day after tomorrow will be sunshine.
Such a powerful long-term view.
But again, the sources frame this not as just some wise saying he found. It came directly out of relentless rejection, didn't it?
Oh, yeah. Failing exams, turned down for dozens of jobs. I think even Harvard said no like 10 times.
Soon before Alibaba finally clicked. That principle feels like the absolute essence distilled from surviving all that constant difficulty, the lesson learned by just enduring those todays and tomorrows.
So hardship is the forge. What about Oprah Winfrey? Her principle, turn your wounds into wisdom. That really jumps out.
It's a profound one, isn't it? Rooted in her own deep personal pain and those early career setbacks, like being told she wasn't right for TV.
Yeah, I remember reading about that.
But she didn't just, get past it. She actively leveraged her vulnerability, her experiences, to build this huge media empire based on connection. The sources show how reframing that pain became her authentic power.
Turning it into understanding that connected with millions. Wow. Okay, shifting gears slightly. What about Warren Buffett's intense focus? The difference between successful people and really successful people is that really successful people say no to almost everything.
That's pure Buffett discipline, right? The sources link it straight to his methods, like his famous two lists technique.
Where you list your top 25 goals, circle 5, and then avoid the other 20.
Exactly. It's like a physical manifestation of the principle as an operating system. It's not about thinking small. It's about strategic allocation of, finite time and energy. Saying no wasn't just a preference. It was the tool that let him concentrate everything on what he saw as the highest impact stuff.
Building Berkshire Hathaway piece by piece. Okay, and Sarah Blakely, founder of Spanx, came into a field she knew nothing about.
Right. And her principle, don't be intimidated by what you don't know. That can be your greatest strength.
A beginner's mind kind of thing.
The sources suggest exactly that. Her lack of conventional knowledge wasn't a weakness, it was a different perspective. She wasn't tied to how things should be done. Plus, there's that story about her dad.
Oh, encouraging failure, asking what she failed at each week.
Yeah. The sources imply that really fostered resilience and made her comfortable being unconventional, trying things others just wouldn't.
So, looking across these examples from the sources, you definitely see these common threads emerging. Resilience, obviously.
Forged through adversity, yeah.
Ruthless focus. Embracing being different or unconventional.
And constantly learning from the bumps in the road, from the setbacks. The sources frame these less as just personality traits and more as a result of consistently applying these internal codes.
Driving real results. Okay, so this brings us to you listening in. Based on what these sources suggest, how might you cultivate your own principle, your own internal OS?
Well, the path hinted at starts with reflection. Looking at your own wounds or significant challenges, what did you genuinely learn? How can you consciously turn that into strength, like Oprah?
And defining your own important enough mission. What are you truly committed to, even when it feels impossible? Channeling that Musk-like conviction.
Right, and embracing your unique viewpoint. Maybe that thing you think you don't know is actually your edge, like Blakely found.
And when things get tough, remembering Jack Ma's perspective maybe,
Yeah.
accepting today's difficulty, tomorrow's may be worse.
But holding on to that vision of sunshine the day after tomorrow, the key seems to be internalizing it. The sources touch on things like repetition, consciously framing challenges through your principles lens,
Linking it to action.
linking it to action, definitely, and being willing to say no decisively to things that don't align, making it the code that genuinely guides your choices.
Ultimately, the real power that emerges from these sources is that internalizing a core conviction isn't just, a mindset shift. It seems to be a fundamental driver.
Shaping how you interact with the world, yeah.
Yeah.
Unlocking potential by changing how you even see challenges and opportunities.
It's about forging your own wisdom, really, and then letting that guide you.
So based on everything we've touched on from your sources today, what single idea or principle resonates most strongly with you right now? What might your guiding principle be as you navigate your own path?